Hi everybody, Massimo Bandinelli here. Thanks to listen to this podcast. And today I would like to go a little bit deeper into the concept of servant leadership. You know that we are living hard times. We are living times where there is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of preoccupations and worries about the present and the future. And so there is a great discussion about what kind of role needs to be take from leaders in order to guide their organization, to guide their people, but firstly to guide themselves. In this podcast, I would like to give you some information and some idea in order to reflect on your personal leadership style. And we will go through a very brief pathway towards a kind of leadership which is to serve others. This is what people is asking. This is what organizations are expecting from leaders. We can define servant leadership as serving others by working toward their development and well-being in order to meet goals for the common good. And if you listen to this first declination of servant leadership, we have two important words. One is development and the other is well-being. And there is no separation among these two words because they go together. We can describe servant leadership as distancing oneself from using power, influence, and position to serve self, and instead gravitating to a position where these tools are used to empower, enable, and encourage those who are within one circle of influence. Servant leaders trust followers to act in the best interest of the organization and focus on those followers rather than the personal and organizational objectives. We know from science and a lot of research is that the organization that can create a healthy, servant-minded culture will maximize the skills of both their workforce and leadership. Servant leaders are influential, so in a non-traditional way that allows more freedom for followers to exercise and express their own abilities. But now let's examine the how of servant leadership rather than staying on the what, which is the most common sport during these days. Beside understanding the leader's perception of himself or herself related to his or her followers, we also need to understand the follower's perception of the servant leader. Research has pointed out that followers contributing a lot or not contributing to that leader's success. They also play an important role in defining and shaping the leader's actions through their perceptions, so with their expectations and attributions about the performance of the leader. When employees perceive that their leaders serve, empower, and broadcast vision to them, they will be more likely to experience the organization as one of servant leadership. In addition to positive performance outcomes, organizations that value servant leaders are able to promote the transformation of followers into servant leaders themselves, creating so a culture of servant leadership. Employees who use this leadership model in organization may be more committed to organizational values and maintain high performance levels. And so servant leaders develop followers into servants who are autonomous, moral agents, who themselves continue to develop others into servants, and so on. Servant leaders develop followers to grow them as a persons, to become wiser, healthier, freer, more autonomous, and more likely to become servants themselves. As leader, look out for the interest of followers and the organization over personal interests. Facilitate a lot a mutual sharing of responsibility and power with followers. and include followers' feedback in developing the vision. That is more likely followers will perceive the leader and culture as servant-oriented. Servant leadership has to do with valuing and developing people, building relational, authentic community, and providing and sharing leadership. So, because servant leaders focus on building the leadership potential in followers, these followers may take on informal leadership roles in their groups, helping to meet the needs and the desire of the fellow group members. So by training leaders in this style, we need to train them. Organization may help foster productive leader-follower relationship in different groups. This kind of servanthood builds a working climate that generates feelings of employee empowerment, resulting in better performance. We know also that the many servant leaders I met during my life are so motivated by an underlying attitude of egalitarianism, where individual growth and development are goals. And these motivations creates a distinct culture that is really, really generative. So it's so important that we observe this kind of leadership style in order to understand what could be a positive outcome that we can observe in a servant-led organization. For example, we will testify that there is a strong mission and value focusing. There is more creativity and innovation. There is more responsiveness and flexibility. There is a great commitment to both internal and external service, not only on the external, not only on the clients and customers. There is a lot of respect for employees. The level of employee loyalty grows, and also the celebration of diversity. So here we are at the point, what is the main driver for this kind of servant leadership, to develop it? It's something that we can call a calling. A calling is a desire, a true desire to serve and willingness to sacrifice self-interest for the benefit of others. So this is the main purpose of a servant leader. It has to do with the strong desire, internal desire. And of course, we need also to add something more to this desire, like this kind of characteristic, like listening, empathy, healing, awareness, growth, persuasion. And all this material which is needed to foster and to develop a servant leadership style, we can sum up several factors derived from this characteristic. The factors are the following. The altruistic calling, which we already said, emotional healing, wisdom, persuasive mapping, and organizational stewardship. What is altruistic calling? Is a leader deep-rooted desire to make a positive difference in other lives, because the ultimate goal is to serve. Leaders high in this attribute will put others' interests ahead of their own and diligently work to meet followers' needs. The emotional healing has to do with the leader's commitment to get a skill in fostering spiritual recovery from hardship or a very difficult moment of their followers. Leaders who use emotional healing are highly empathetic and great listeners. They don't talk too much. They create environments that are safe for employees to voice personal and professional issues or challenges. Wisdom is a combination of awareness of surroundings and anticipation of consequences. Wisdom is a real, not easy skill, we could say, to get. It takes a lot of work on ourselves. It takes a lot of work in fostering our personal and professional awareness, which is hard work at the beginning, but is very important to do it. So leaders that have these attributes are adept at picking up cues from the environment and understanding their implications. Persuasive mapping is the extent to which a leader uses sound reasoning and mental frameworks. Leaders who score high in these characteristics are persuasive, offering compelling reasons to get others to do things. Coming to organizational stewardship, we can say that it has to do with the extent that leaders prepare an organization to make a positive contribution to society through community development, programs, and outreach. These leaders also work to develop a community spirit in the workplace, one that is preparing to leave a positive legacy. So, let's take these points and ask yourself, how many kind of leaders like these ones I'm seeing, I'm encountering during my life? How many examples I'm observing in my environment, in my context, that are a representation that demonstrate this kind of pillars, this kind of value correlated with strong behaviors? How many of these leaders come to my mind if I think about it? And where I am as a leader if I think about this kind of servant leadership. So this is your job for this time, and I hope that this podcast has been interesting for you. I'll wait for your comments, and I thank you so much to have been here with me. Hear you soon.